Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Dorset Council's Licensing Subcommittee. I will get my fellow councillors to introduce themselves. My name is Councillor Emma Parker.
Hello, I'm Councillor Sarah Williams from Bridport.
And my name's Derek Beer from Shaftesbury.
Thank you, councillors. Can I have a vote of the chairman for this hearing this morning, please?
Happy to propose Emma Parker as chair.
Thank you.
And I'll second that, thank you.
Sorry, these microphones. Good morning, everybody. Before I go into the formal agenda, I'm just going to go around the room for everybody to make introductions because I want to make sure that the list that I have, that I've got everybody here that has requested to attend this morning. We've introduced ourselves, so I will now move on to my Democratic Services officers.
John Miles, Democratic Services. I'll be taking the minutes for the meeting. Thank you.
Morning, Elaine Tibble from Democratic Services.
And our legal advisor?
Lara Autry from Legal Services.
Thank you. Our licensing officer?
Catherine Miller, Senior Licensing Officer and Report Author.
Thank you very much. And I will now go to the applicant. If you would like to introduce yourselves, please.
Good morning. My name is Jagan. I'm the director of the business. Thank you.
My name is Peter Saville. I'm a barrister instructed on behalf of the applicant. Can I also apologise if I kept anyone waiting?
Yes, good morning. My name's Liam Voisey from HK Law on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you very much. And now I will move over to residents that have made representations.
Good morning. My name is Michael Harden. I'm a resident in Mellstock Avenue.
Good morning. Michael Richardson, also resident Mellstock Avenue.
Thank you very much. I do have one other that we are missing, but we've had no notifications as to whether they are attending or not, so I will move on. If I can just go through our agenda, do we have any apologies?
An apology for absence was received from Councillor Paul Harrison, substituted by Councillor Derek Beer.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any declarations of interest? Thank you. Do we have any urgent items?
There are no urgent items. Thank you.
And do we have any exempt business?
No exempt business.
Thank you. Okay, I will now go on to our report author, Catherine, and this is for a new licensing application for Manor Park Convenience Store, 82 Mellstock Avenue in Dorchester.
Thank you, Chairman. So the application is for a new, as you say, a new licence for Manor Park Convenience Store. It's for the sale of alcohol off the premises, Monday to Sunday, 0600 to 2300 hours. The application, the plans are at Appendix 1 of the report. There were no representations received from any of the responsible authorities. There were originally 5 relevant representations received relating to the licence and objectives of prevention of crime and disorder and public nuisance. An email was sent by licensing on behalf of the applicant to the interested parties, which stated that the applicant was prepared to reduce the trading hours from 0800 to 22 hours Monday to Sunday. This offer was made on the proviso that all the objections were withdrawn. If the objections were not withdrawn, then the application will be heard at a licensing subcommittee at the original hours of 0600 to 2300 hours. This email can be found at Appendix 2. Only one party since withdrew their application, and therefore the application being considered today will be for the original hours of 0600 to 2300. All the original 5 representations can be found at Appendix 3. And the options available to members today are you can grant a licence subject to such conditions as the authority considers appropriate for the promotion of the licence and objectives and the mandatory conditions, to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, refuse to specify a person in the licence as a designated premises supervisor, or reject the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions for Catherine with regards to the report?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. I'll now go to the applicants. Do you have any questions for Catherine with regards to the report? Gentlemen, do you have any questions for Catherine with regards to the report? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I will now move on to the applicant, and if you would like to outline the report for me, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll outline the application, but as you know, Mr. Nalapan sits next to me, and if you have any questions on the detail of the application, I'm sure he'll be only too happy to help. You have in the papers before you a very clear, comprehensive application and a very clear operating schedule showing the conditions that are proposed by the applicant. The object of this application is to provide a convenience store in this locality, in what is a parade of shops. And it is hoped that this shop, along with the shop also run by Mr. Nalapan in Chickerell, will become an important and useful local asset for the community. It is a proposal that Mr. Nalapan will be the designated premises supervisor. He is an experienced license holder and manager of premises. He has over 10 years' experience in managing shops of this sort. The premises that he has in Chickerell is a successful business. It has not attracted any attention or unwanted attention from the police or other responsible authorities. It is a well-run business, and there is, he says, no reason to assume that this license, if granted, would not similarly be well-run and well adhered to. Mr. Nalapan has a good relationship with responsible authorities in his operation. And in those circumstances, we invite the subcommittee to look upon this application favourably. I will address, if I may, the points that are raised by the representations. As I've indicated, this is designed to be a shop, a convenience store premises. That is, of course, not what you are licensing. You are concerned with the licensing objectives only insofar as it relates to the sale of alcohol. I'm bound to say that because one or two of the representations appear to drift onto an objection to these premises as a shop. Well, that isn't with respect on the agenda. It is a premises that will be operated under a franchise, the Premier franchise, with which I'm sure you and your colleagues are well familiar. So it isn't, if I can put it this way, inelegantly, a fly-by-night operation. It is a well-established operation. But it is an operation that brings with it an extra layer of supervision, because every 3 months or so, a Premier will come in and inspect the books and check that the business is being run appropriately, because there's no wish to damage the Premier brand. Not that I'm suggesting for a minute that there will be anything in the way that Mr. Nalapan runs the business to do that. He has invested in this shop something in the order of £120,000, which is a significant amount of money, particularly given the state of the retail market at the moment. And that, I say, is also an indication of how seriously he takes the business and how seriously he wants the business to succeed. The operating schedule sets out the various conditions that are proposed to operate. You also have the plan in the bundle. That shows that spirits and the like will be kept behind the counter. The premises will operate at all times a Challenge 25 system, with which, of course, you're familiar. Mr. Nalapan has invested in a till prompt, a point of sale indicator to make sure that Challenge 25 is adhered to. There will, of course, always be the appropriate signage. That part is is provided by Premier. In preparing for this application, he has engaged professional licensing consultants who have provided him with a suite of bespoke, what one might call due diligence paperwork, training manuals and the like, and are available to provide training. So again, that is an indication that this is a business that is taking its responsibilities under the Licensing Act extremely seriously. You will have seen in the operating schedule reference to the installation and operation of a CCTV system. One of the cameras for that CCTV system will be viewing the position outside of the shop. And I say that to address the point that is made perfectly understandably, that it is a fear that the shop will become a focal point for the collection of youths and others. The answer to that, Mr. Nalapan says, is manifold. One, in relation to the shop in Chickerell, it hasn't happened because he runs a decent business. And if one runs a decent business, doesn't run a business which attracts people who think, youths, for example, who think they might be able to get something underage sold to them in those premises, then that is no longer an attraction. But even if it is the case that anyone's hanging around who is unwanted, the CCTV is there. Mr. Nalapan will have no compunction whatsoever about ringing the police. But perhaps the best evidence that I can advance of how well run these premises will be is the fact that he does have premises of this sort really not terribly far away. And there is no evidence whatsoever that the running of them undermines the licensing objectives. Quite the contrary, and that is why you see no evidence of opposition from the responsible authorities. I think sensibly that is all I can say by way of opening the application, and perhaps invite you now to ask any questions you may have.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions? There you go.
Yeah, just one, Chairman. Thank you very much for the very comprehensive introduction there. There was just one small query I might have. Should the outside CCTV camera identify in the unlikely event or in the event of anything happening outside, may I ask the applicant how he would perhaps deal with that? Thank you.
Definitely. The CCTV thing, the storage 31 days, yeah. But you get the entrance side and 3 views on the street line side, yeah. So I can access anytime the CCTV, and yes, any trouble happens, we provide it anytime, it's fine. Yeah.
It may be that the question wasn't entirely understood. What I think has just been described is essentially the content of the first proposed condition, how CCTV will be stored, retained, handed over to the police in the event of a request. I think, if I may, Mr. Nalapan, what you were being asked about is what would you do in the event that there were problems outside of the premises?
Yeah, main things if any drinking people come in the shop, yeah, we stop the serving the people, just refuse the sale, and we write it to the refusal log books, yeah. And we inform the next shift cashier also, just make sure don't serve anything the drinking people, just stop, just refuse things, yeah. And we, in case any incident or like that, we record the CCTV and keep in separate box. And anytime the police or public, police, anyone asking that, we provide it straight away, it's fine. And, oh yeah, sorry.
And what about calling the police if necessary?
Yes, oh yeah, it's necessary, yeah. It's not all the time, but.
I just have one question. You've mentioned, obviously, that there's another premises in Chickerell that you run. How are you going to split your time between, if you were successful, how would you split your time between the two businesses?
Yeah, I'm always in the shop. I spend in the shop 4 or 5 hours a day. The shop, and we just refresh the training things every 3 months. Train the staff, and just a good communication with the local peoples. Those things. So
again, if I could perhaps intervene, how many staff will there be present in the shop?
Around the team, there are 5 staff. The different shift, the 6 hours, 8 hours, the part time like this. Just totally we're in the 5 staffs. Like everyone with the online training certificates come to the off-license course, the age verification things, and how to the proof of age things. All we trained all staff. Otherwise, we can't access the cashier till the well-trained cashiers. And even we going to scan the product, the screen asking check the ID, things like this. So that's the main thing, and everyone gave the challenge 25, the posters and a name badge. That's all will train the staff. Otherwise, we're not allowed to sell the alcohol to anyone.
So depending on times, up to 5 staff employed in the premises, all of whom are fully trained, and without that training, they're not actually able to access the till. They're not able to work the till, use the till.
Yeah, it's more around, obviously, obviously you're going to be the DPS. Obviously, I understand can't be in 2 places at once. Just thinking would there be any way going forward that if you had long-term staff that perhaps that they might be trained up eventually to be to get their license as well, so that that you'd have another second person within the remit as well. Thank you. Councillors, do you have any further questions? I don't, because most of mine were covered in the edition that we were given.
Exactly the same. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Okay. Catherine, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No direct questions to that. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I will now move over to the gentlemen that have made representations. Obviously, we've seen the submissions that we have in front of us. If there's anything that you would like to add to them. And Mr. Harden, would you like to go first?
Thank you for the opportunity to express our concerns about this proposed licensing hours for the Manor Park stores. Firstly, I would like to advise you a little bit about the location of the proposed convenience stores. 4 shops with residential flats over were built in the 1960s as part of the development of the Manor Park estate. Since then, the 4 units have been occupied on a semi-regular basis by a variety of businesses ranging from vets, hairdressers, a carpet shop, accountants, a cake shop, and convenience stores. Outside the units is a pleasant grassed area and a seat. Surrounding the shops is a large, quiet residential area with 2 schools. Most of the businesses have traditionally operated normal operating daylight hours. We totally accept that a convenience store into the empty retail unit would be appropriate, and there have been similar businesses there over the years. Our concerns relate to the proposed licensing hours of 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. Unfortunately, in recent years, we've seen a rise in antisocial behaviour in Dorchester, a lot of it fuelled by alcohol. Only a relatively short distance from the site is Salisbury Fields, where Dorset Council and Dorset Police have introduced a public spaces protection order to try and deal with individuals consuming alcohol in public places, leading to antisocial behaviour that causes harassment and alarm and distress to the people in the vicinity. There are similarities between the 2 sites, with a pleasant glassed area and alcohol sales close by. A closing time of 11 p.m. would also attract drinkers from other areas of the town. Furthermore, where the town centre has a comprehensive system of CCTV cameras and a police presence, this is a quiet residential area. We therefore urge the committee to restrict the evening licensing hours to, say, 8 a.m. in the evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair. I just misheard your last three words. What times were you requesting? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Do you have any questions? No? Okay. I don't have any questions at this stage. Thank you very much. Catherine, do you have any questions? Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I will now move on to Mr. Richardson. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My objections, indeed the objections of my family, are very similar to my fellow objector. I'm actually in support of the shop and agree it could well be an asset to the local community. My objections are purely on the late evening opening hours. The issue of CCTV, great that it will be installed. However, I think in a lot of cases, CCTV helps prosecution after crimes have been committed. It doesn't always deter it. It might do for some people, perhaps about to commit a burglary or something like that, could be deterred by it. Those that have been drinking and intoxicated are rarely deterred by CCTV. I mean, you only have to see what happens in town centres throughout the country, outside pubs, outside alcohol outlets. It seems to be used more as something to prosecute people who've done things wrong, committed crimes, antisocial behaviour after the event. I don't see it very much as a deterrent. Antisocial behaviour isn't exclusively committed by underage drinkers. Of course, that's a problem if people are served alcohol underage, or indeed if someone who is old enough purchases alcohol for their younger siblings and friends. A lot of people who are legally old enough to drink alcohol cause ever such a lot of problems. Everybody knows that. It doesn't really need stating, so please forgive me for stating the obvious. Many people who are legally old enough to drink do cause problems. The row of shops in Mellstock Avenue, it's tailor-made for a gathering of people that have nowhere to go to consume their alcohol. The area at the front, there's a large patio area, very nice, pleasant, grassy area, and also around the side of the shop where I'm guessing at the moment CCTV won't be installed. It's at the junction of Mellstock Avenue and Egdon Road. The frontage of the shop that faces Mellstock Avenue, if CCTV is put there, would indeed be there to record any unpleasant events which I feel will inevitably happen with late hours. Around the corner of the building, there is, again, an area which you only have to go to any town in the country and you would see areas like that that will attract people who go and buy alcohol, cigarettes, vapes, everything else that goes with it, and then the ensuing behaviour that is inevitable. The evening hours are the hours that is the cause of my objection, not the fact the shop is there. In fact, I will be supporting the shop if it comes to the area with reasonable attitude and with respect to the local residents, as will my children on their way back from school. We will be patronising the shop. It's the problem, and it will be a problem in such a quiet area. It's going to be a blight on the area if it stays open beyond 8 o'clock. The applicant did say after my email, They drew comparison with the Ruby House Chinese takeaway. I really don't see how that can be seen as a comparable business. The vast majority of their business, and they are excellent neighbours, by the way, the vast majority of their business is conducted by the staff of that business delivering to houses. They do have people that come to collect. The nature of a hot takeaway food outlet is the people that come to collect their orders leave to take it home. They have hot dinners. And yes, that premises is licensed. They sell Chinese beer to go with the Chinese food. They close at 9:30. They don't open on Sundays. The hours proposed for this business that we're discussing now to be open 7 days a week, in fact, probably open, I'm guessing, almost every day of the year, possibly the exception of Christmas Day, to be open as late as is proposed, it goes way beyond what is reasonable, way beyond what is acceptable to the local area. It will make a huge, huge impact, negative impact to the area. But like I say, I would welcome the business and I will indeed be a customer there, but please don't give it a licence beyond 8 in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have no questions.
Thank you. That was all very well put forward, and I totally understand what you're saying. A convenience, this is purely a question, not a supposition. A convenience store, by its very nature, is there for people when the supermarkets are shut, they get home from work, it's, crikey, I haven't got sugar, we can nip down and get some. That's a bonus, isn't it? Do you think that if they had to be selective in what they sold over certain hours, for instance, if someone popped in for something and they couldn't buy a bottle of wine or whatever, do you think that might create a little more anxiety or pressure on the business or whatever? Do you feel that your local residents would take that as acceptable? Just a question.
I hope my understanding is what you said there. So if a customer was to come to buy convenience items, they've forgotten them beyond the hours of a supermarket, but they were refused their bottle of wine to go with their bread, sugar, etc. Yes, I do. Indeed, in my own job, where I do have to refuse people alcohol who've had too much, yet the refusal of alcohol to someone who wants it is always going to be confrontational. There lies the crux of my problem. If they are able to sell alcohol beyond 8 o'clock, and indeed if they're then having to refuse people, whereas if it's known that the licensing is up to 8 p.m. and you cannot buy alcohol before, if that's pre-established, I believe that takes away the problem of that potential confrontation, rather than the people running the shop having to say, you're clearly underage, or no, you could be underage, you don't have identification with you, or indeed you're already intoxicated. Because, again, part of my problem would be people that have purchased alcohol possibly somewhere else and they're coming to the place that's going to be open latest throughout the town. I mean, I do have a list there. I've done some research of all the other places that are open. I mean, even including in the town centre, right by the station, they close a lot earlier, and that's a far more appropriate place in a commercial area, right by the station, opposite the taxi rank. The bus is far more appropriate for evening opening hours. Don't open in the evening. It is, if they're selling alcohol as late as is proposed, it will cause problems in our area. It will cause criminality. It will cause antisocial behaviour and litter. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any further questions? No. Catherine? Okay. Okay. Thank you. We have no further questions, and I'm content that we've heard all sides, so thank you for that. I will now give you the opportunity to sum up. I do want everybody to go away from here to think that they've had a fair hearing. So I'll go and sum up. If there's anything else that you would like to add, that's absolutely fine. I do always sum up in reverse order, so I will come back to you, Mr. Richardson. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Nothing further to add. Just to reiterate to the applicant, we will welcome you to the local area, but we do ask you, please, to respect the nature of the local area with your proposed opening hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments and thank you for attending today. It's appreciated. Mr. Harden, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I've got nothing further to add. Thank you.
And again, thank you for attending. Appreciate it. Now, the applicant, have you got anything that you'd like to add to summing up?
Yes, if it's of any comfort to anybody who's made a representation, Mr. Nalapan is no fan of antisocial behaviour. He's no friend of antisocial behaviour. No one is. I suppose some people are, otherwise we wouldn't have it, but he certainly isn't. The important point to remember here is that it is imperative for the running of his business and the future of his business, both here and in Chickerell, that these shops are not a focal point of antisocial behaviour. Not least because he would lose the very good working relationship he has with Dorset Police and the relevant licensing authorities. But also he runs the risk of bringing about an application for review in the event that there is evidence that problems have arisen and they are fairly connected with the operation of the premises. The point I make, and I make it with the greatest of respect, at present there is no evidence whatsoever that these premises will become a cause of antisocial behaviour. They are intrinsically and internally well run. Mr. Nalapan understands perfectly well his responsibilities, not only under the Licensing Act, but also, generally speaking, as being a good neighbour. He wants the business to be viable, but he also wants it to be useful to the community. He does not want it to be a source of concern. He doesn't want it to be a source of antisocial behaviour. That being said, there are equal numbers, one imagines, of people living in the community who may work shift patterns, who may work late, who want the opportunity to go into a convenience store and get some shopping later on, or at hours that some of us wouldn't consider to be entirely conventional. To them, it is totally conventional. There is no reason, in my very respectful submission, to prevent such people from being able to pop into the local shop and getting a bottle of wine or whatever it is they want, even if it's later on in the day. That does not automatically mean that the premises will become a magnet for antisocial behaviour. Premises that are a magnet for antisocial behaviour are the premises that are ill-run, and that is not the case here. You will know, and the guidance to the Act says this, imposing restrictions such as pegging back hours on a business that is otherwise well run is disproportionate if there is no evidence to support the fact that problems are arising, that the licensing objectives are undermined. As I've said already, Mr. Nalapan well knows what the consequences of there being problems will be if the license is granted. The other point I would make, if I may, it really harks back to something I said in opening. There has been talk generally about opening hours. You are not here because of opening hours of a convenience store. You are only here in relation to the alcohol license that is applied for. There is no evidence whatsoever that people coming to this shop after, say, 8 o'clock in the evening will be coming exclusively to purchase alcohol. And in those circumstances, with respect, we say that there is no proper basis to suggest that after 8 o'clock the premises will become a source of alcohol-led crime and disorder or antisocial behaviour. It's a well-thought-out, responsibly made application, I would say. And in the circumstances, Mr. Nalapan invites you to grant it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for attending. Catherine.
Thank you, Chairman. No, I think Mr. Saville already said what I was going to say about it's the hours we're not looking at, it's the alcohol sales. So that's, yes, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. In that case, I will draw this meeting to a close. we will be retiring to make our decision. When we make our decision, we make it with one of our Democratic Services officers and our legal advisor. Once our decision has been made, you will receive a copy of our decision, and that will be within 5 working days. There is a right for appeal, and that right for appeal is of 21 days within getting the written decision notice, and that will be to Weymouth Magistrates Court. Okay. Thank you all for attending, and I will draw this meeting to a close. Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Dorset Council's Licensing Subcommittee. My name is Councillor Emma Parker and I have been elected to chair this hearing this morning. If I can get my fellow councillors to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. I'm Councillor Sarah Williams from Bridport.
And it'd be churlish if I said, good morning, I'm Derek Beer from Shaftesbury. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. We've gone through the formalities because we've had another hearing this morning. So what I'll do now is just briefly go around the room so everybody can introduce themselves. Could I start with my Democratic Services officers, please?
John Miles, Democratic Services. I'll be taking the minutes for the meeting.
I'm Elaine Tibble, also Democratic Services.
A licensing officer.
I'm Catherine Miller, Senior Licensing Officer and Report Author.
And our legal representative.
I'm Laura Autry from Legal Services.
And if we can go to our applicants, if you'd like to introduce yourselves, please.
So I'm Luke Sturman, representing the Hillbrook Hotel in Sherborne.
And Melanie Sturman, the same, representing the Hillbrook Hotel in Sherborne.
Thank you, and thank you for attending. We have had representations with regards to this, but we don't have anybody that has been noted to come, okay? I will now move on to Catherine. Catherine, if you can outline the report for us, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we're here to consider a new premises licence application for the Hillbrook, 1 Cannon Woods Close in Sherborne. The original application it was applied for was for live music indoors and outdoors, Sunday to Thursday, 11 till 11, Friday and Saturday, 11 till 1, recorded music indoors and outdoors, Sunday to Thursday, 0800 to 2300, Friday to Saturday, 0800 to 0100 hours, late night refreshment indoors, Monday to Sunday, 2300 to 0500, and supply of alcohol off the premises, Monday to Sunday, 24 hours. The application and plans are Appendix 1. Environmental Health made a representation in relation to the outside live and recorded music, but the applicant confirmed they do not intend to have live or recorded music outside after 2300 hours. So Environmental Health then withdrew their representation, and the email can be found at Appendix 2. Dorset Police proposed 2 additional conditions of the licence if it were to be granted, and that is the sale of alcohol for 24 hours a day will be restricted to residents of the hotel and their guests, except for, save for booked functions, the sale of alcohol to members of the public will be restricted to 11 a.m. to 2300 hours. The applicant agreed to these conditions to be added if the licence were to be granted, and this email can be found at Appendix 3. There were no other comments from any of the responsible authorities. There were initially 4 relevant representations received from members of the public, and these related to the prevention of public nuisance and concerns raised from increasing noise from the premises. An email was sent by licensing on behalf of the applicant to the interested parties, which stated that the applicant would reduce the provision of live and recorded music until 2300 hours, and it would take place indoors only. This application can be found at Appendix 4. Following this email, 2 of the parties withdrew the representation. However, the other 2, we didn't have any comments back, and these 2 comments can be found at Appendix 5. Therefore, the application being considered today is for the following: live music indoors, music Monday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 2300 hours, recorded music indoors, Monday to Sunday, 0800 to 2300 hours, late night refreshment indoors, Monday to Sunday, 2300 to 0500 hours. Supply of alcohol on and off the premises restricted to residents of the hotel and their guests, and for book functions, Monday to Sunday, 24 hours. Supply of alcohol on and off the premises for the general public, excluding book functions, is Monday to Sunday, 11 to 2300 hours. The options available to members today is they can grant a licence subject to the conditions as the authority considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, and the mandatory conditions to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, refuse to specify a person as a designated premises supervisor, or reject the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions for Catherine with regards to the report?
No, thank you.
And thanks for clarifying the timings on that, Catherine. Appreciate that. Do you have any questions for Catherine with regards to the report?
No, we're happy as it's been presented. We're really here just should you have any questions, I guess.
Okay, well, as we have no, bless you, as we have no questions for Catherine, we're now come to you. Obviously, we've seen the application, we've got your the timings that you'd be happy with should your licence be granted. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think, through the process we've really sort of got to where we need to be and conceded, that the hotel, by virtue of what it is, isn't, going to attract any loud or raucous sort of events and things like that. It's going to be a fine dining restaurant and a luxury boutique hotel. So it fits very much within the local, its situation. So, yeah, no, nothing else.
Do you have any questions for the applicant with regards to the submission? No? I've just got a couple of questions. Have you done this sort of business long?
Yes, so myself and Melanie and our business manage a number of properties for different operators around the country. We've been in the industry for all of our working careers with relatively uneventful pasts. We've certainly never had any issues with licensing authorities or police or anything like that, as far as licensable activities are concerned. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't actually have any more questions, and I don't think my councillors have any questions. Catherine, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you, Chairman.
And as you've heard, there were some representations, some that was withdrawn, and the ones that we have in front of us. Obviously, we can only comment on what we have written in front of us because we don't have anybody here to make their, to expand on their representation. So I'm happy with everything that I've heard today to be able to make a balanced decision. I will give you the chance to sum up. Because that's how we would do a normal hearing anyway. So is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I don't believe so. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine, anything that you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Chairman. No.
Thank you. Lara, can I just confirm that we've covered all aspects, please?
Yes, Chair, everything's been covered.
Thank you very much. So with that in mind, I'm going to draw this meeting to a close. What we will do now is we will retire to make our decision. And when we make our decision, we have our Democratic Service Officer with us, and we also have our legal representative. Once our decision has been made, it will be sent out to you, and you will get that within 5 working days. Obviously, there is a right to appeal, and your right to appeal is 21 days to Weymouth Magistrates Court, and that 21 days starts as from when you've received your decision notice. Are you content with that?
Thank you, Chair. No, that's fine.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
Thank you for
Thank
your time.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.